Hey guys, another edition of Land the Plane Fridays, where I, Rick Aduzel, help you land the plane, otherwise known as finish your drafts in the best way possible to help you advance and win these tournaments as we go into the weekend. Thus, Land the Plane Fridays. Today we're going to be talking about player archetypes, and archetype's a tough word, so I have Googled it. Right? So, an archetype is an original model, universal pattern, or perfect example of a person, behavior, or concept. So, what we mean when we're talking about archetypes in fantasy football is how can we describe this player and what they do best, or where I can expect to get production out of them. So, what I mean by that is let's take a pretty clear example of an archetype, right? Malik Neighbors. Now, we don't know this for sure, but Malik Neighbors is probably going to be a little bit injured coming into the season. They've been really pessimistic about his news reports. They're non committal about week one. A lot of doctors on Twitter are saying he might start out the season slow. So, where do we expect his production to come? Really, in the back half of the season. This also matches up with the Giants' strength of schedule in the back half, especially the three dome games they get to play in weeks 15 through 17. So, though Malik Neighbors is not a rookie, he is what we call back weighted production, production that's weighted towards the back end of the season. Now, you must have heard at some point rookies are back weighted production. They tend to get better as the season goes on, they get more reps as the season goes on, and thus their fantasy points come later on the season, like Ricky Pearsall, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like countless rookies over the years, and they've been priced up because of that. But the cool thing is, we can define archetypes for other players. Let's take Brock Bowers, for example, right up here. To be honest, this archetype, he's just a stud. We expect him being picked at 19.9 on underdog drafts right now to produce for us all season. That's just a stud archetype. Often, we think of archetypes like aging running backs, like Christian McCaffrey, like Derrick Henry, as front weighted archetypes. As in, as they get older, they might get dinged up and not play the season. But you have to understand when you're picking these players this high, hopefully you're not expecting Christian McCaffrey to be a front weighted archetype. Hopefully you're expecting him to produce for you all season long like he did last season. Same with Derrick Henry. So really, we're looking to give archetypes to players later in the draft. And why are we looking to do this? Well, because depending on how you construct rooms, you want production in the weeks that matter, the money weeks, the back weighted weeks. But to get there, you also need production in the beginning weeks. That's why we need a mix of people that are going to produce early, like studs and front weighted archetypes, with back weighted archetypes that help us get that ceiling we need to really win a lot of money and advance in those weeks 15, 16, and 17, where the advanced structures are very low. So, with that, let's talk about Rashi Rice and that jail rehab. Well, to put it bluntly, I think the whole passing offense for Kansas City is going to start out a little bit slow. Why? They signed Kenneth Walker in free agency. They also drafted two defensive players in the first round. And they have a really easy strength of schedule the first four games. They start out with the Broncos, but after that, they're going to be favored by close to a touchdown in every single game. I don't have them offhand. Just trust me on that one. In addition, Patrick Mahomes is crushing rehab. He's doing 7 hours of rehab a day right now. Your body still heals at the rate your body heals. I don't think they want him dropping back 60 times a game. Coach Speak Index also said that the coaches mentioned we don't want Patrick Mahomes dropping back 50 or 60 times a game to begin the season. No duh. Guess what else? Rashee Rice is doing jail rehab right now. I kid you not. He's in jail. Andy Reid said he's doing rehab in jail. I don't know how that's going to go, but I have to think it's a little worse than doing rehab outside of jail. So we want to be careful when we assign archetypes in the first couple rounds of fantasy drafts. But I can pretty comfortably say if you draft Rashee Rice, you're gonna want a little bit more production in those first couple weeks. He has 3 months to get up to speed, but still, we're trying to win 3 million, $2 million here, right? Let's try to get it right. So let's take a look at another archetype that people have forgotten about. And this is an interesting one because it is one Jadarian Price. He is a rookie. And as we said, rookies are normally back-weighted production archetypes. However, we know that Zach Charbonnet is injured and he's projected to come back sometime later in the season, right? Emmanuel Wilson is also going to be there. George Halani, Kenny McIntosh is also going to be there, but they just drafted Jadarian Price in the first round. They're going to give him a lot of run as a rookie. My personal thought is they're also going to let him hang himself as a rookie. They're going to let him do pass pro. If he can't pass pro well, he's not going to play third downs. He actually is able to lose more work as the season goes on, as the coaching staff gets more reps out of him and sees what he has. He didn't get a lot of reps at Notre Dame. He's going to get a lot more looks here in Seattle at the beginning of the season. He could be a front-weighted archetype. And if you're drafting Jadarian Price as your first running back or as your second running back, know that he's not a typical rookie profile. So now we've talked about front-weighted, back-weighted archetypes. Let's talk about some tight ends. Tight ends are tough this year. We have our studs. Tucker Kraft, he's injured. I mean, that was a pretty bad injury. I think it was ACL plus. I'm not absolutely sure. Don't quote me on that. Back-weighted archetype, right? But then we have other guys like in the tight end room, like Sam Laporta. Harold Fannin should see enough targets of David Njoku, but Sam Laporta, really, really crowded tight end room. Or not tight end room, pass catching room. You got to compete with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Jahmyr Gibbs. You could be the fourth target on that team, and you probably are. But what does Sam Laporta do? He's big. He can catch some touchdowns. I think more than a touchdown magnet, he's a little bit of a tweener. He's got that TD magnet at the tight end position, and he's got the spike week upside because we love the Detroit Lions offense. However, I'm going to give you a really late tight end pick here that I think has a little bit more potential in half PPR websites than people are giving him credit for. And that is one Darnell Washington. The man is a giant. He's literally 6'8". And Aaron Rodgers, if you know anything in the red zone, he doesn't like to do that much work. He just likes to get touchdowns. So he throws it to the big guys. As the year went on, Darnell Washington got more and more involved. As you can see, he's gone from 10 targets to 25 targets to 43 targets year after year. He's getting better. Also, he's 8 to 10 inches taller than any cornerback guarding him. And he's 4 to 6 inches taller than any linebacker guarding him. Linebackers are usually 6'4 to 6'2". 6'4 linebacker is really tall. They're usually in that 6'2 range. The man, I'm pretty sure he's 6'8". Darnell Washington height. 6'7". Oh, sorry. Fake news. 264. He is only weighing over 300 pounds during the season. Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a touchdown magnet. He's going to get you a lot of touchdowns. Those go really far in these half PPR websites. Similarly, Jameson Williams, better and best ball pick. They say that because he's a spike week guy, right? Terry McLaurin could be a target. He could be a stud here. Devontae Adams, we know he lives off touchdowns. Look at that. 14 touchdowns made up for his 700 yards this year, whereas before he had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So go through your draft, practice assigning archetypes. Say, I think this guy is back-weighted, front-weighted, spike week. Is he a completely random spike week, or can you kind of predict it like man versus zone? And then test these archetypes. Talk to your friends. Talk to the community. Test them. See if other people agree. See if they don't agree. Talk about your reasoning for why. This is how you're going to get better by structuring your draft with different archetypes, balancing front-weighted with back-weighted, balancing those chaperones like Jacoby Myers that produce this floor for you with upside guys like Jameson Williams that'll produce the upside that you need. I'll talk about this more in an upcoming Best Ball Playbook episode as the summer progresses, but wanted to give you guys a couple hints going into this weekend. Watch my June 1st episode. Watch this episode. Like and subscribe and comment. Did you land the plane? I'll let you know.